Howdy, partners. Welcome to episode 21 of the show where we stay away from LA and discuss the rest of the West. I am thrilled to welcome back my buddy Mike Singer of the Denver Post. Does a great job covering the Nuggets for that particular outlet. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good, man. Do I get like some kind of award or something? Two-time guest on Howdy Partner? What's going on here?
You join an exclusive club. I believe it's you, Kevin Pelton, Andrew Lopez, and I say exclusive, not necessarily prestigious, because Tim Bontemps is also in that group.
Love you, Bontemps.
So that's the company that you're keeping, for better or for worse. But listen, I got to have you on because the Denver Nuggets are leading the West by a comfortable margin, and I've never seen a more disrespected, dismissed number one seed in all my days covering the NBA. Look, I understand the Suns made a huge splash with the KD trade, and that's a team that went to the finals a couple of years ago. You bring in a superstar like Kevin Durant, he's about to make his Suns debut. I can accept and understand the Suns being the favorite. I personally am still saying that I'm rolling with the Nuggets as my favorite. But to act like the Nuggets are complete afterthoughts to me is pretty interesting. And I am curious, for you as somebody who's around the Nuggets on a daily basis, and not just, you're having conversations that aren't press conferences, aren't just for public consumption. What's kind of the feel around the Nuggets as far as, one, the reaction to the KD trade and just, how they're feeling about, the spot that they're in and their chances to run through this conference?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely saw the KD trade and were like, all right, we need to address something on the margins. That's what they did on the trade deadline. They added Thomas Bryant from the Lakers, ended up getting Reggie Jackson in the buyout market. So not really an apples to apples comparison, but that is a testament to how comfortable they were. I mean, they had a 5-game lead over Memphis going into the trade deadline. So it's not like they were just sweating this out. They had a little bit of leeway. And I think what is overlooked, maybe nationally and maybe even locally, is this idea of continuity and the idea that Joker, Jamal Murray, MPJ, Aaron Gordon, they've played together for a couple of years. Maybe not necessarily Aaron Gordon because of Jamal and MPJ's injuries, but that core has been there. The tertiary pieces that they added, KCP and Bruce Brown, they can kind of fit anywhere. So this core has not changed. This is not like you're adding an MVP level caliber player with 20 games left to go, where chemistry, fit, what a closing lineup looks like. Who's taking the last shot? Is it Booker? Is it CP? Is it KD? Like, all of that stuff, that hierarchy has been established in Denver. And so, for sure, the high-end talent, you look at Phoenix, you're like, okay, that is a formidable, scary opponent. But beyond that starting five, they traded away their depth. They traded away their best wing defenders. And the Nuggets, they essentially just made an addition by subtraction in moving off of Bones, adding the two guys I mentioned earlier, and they're just comfortable with who they are. So in terms of depth, continuity, overall talent in the two-time MVP, and just like excellent role players around him, they're very comfortable with where they're at. And I think that they're confident going up against any team in the West, even if KD is now there.
Yeah, I will say, I think that the concern about the Suns' depth is a little bit overblown. Simply they still have NBA quality players. It's not like oh my gosh, we've got 4 guys and then we're going to have to go recruit at the YMCA, right? I mean, Torrey Craig, you've obviously seen him up close in Denver. You can play him in a playoff series. Josh Okogie actually has been playing very well. I would think they would stick with him in the starting lineup coming back, but they've got guys like Cam Payne, Landry Shamet. We'll see about TJ Warren. My point is, come playoff time, you don't need 10, 11, 12 guys. You need 8. If you got an 8-man rotation, you're good. And, you say, well, what if a star gets hurt? Well, if a star gets hurt, you're going to be screwed anyways. Let's just be honest. speaking of stars who are hurt, we do stay away from LA here, but I'm going to make a quick little veer towards the Lakers. And look, unfortunately, LeBron's going to miss, sounds like several weeks with that foot injury that happened the other day in Dallas. Managed to finish that game, but obviously that was running on adrenaline. I believe it was before the news came out to that. My friends on NBA Today, the Malik Andrews show, there's a clip that's gone viral. It's Malika on a panel, leading the panel, Ramona, Spears, Tristan Thompson, Vince Carter. And the question was, if the Lakers and Nuggets play in the playoffs, who are you taking? It was unanimous for the freaking 12 seed.
It's unbelievable.
When I say the most disrespected team, the most disrespected number one seed in NBA history, that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about. And look, I hear, well, the Nuggets have never done anything in the playoffs. They've not gotten to the finals. This is true. But the last time that Jamal Murray was healthy in a playoff series, I believe, they went to the West Finals.
Yeah,
right?
They went to the West Finals against those Lakers. They ended up losing in 5 in the bubble. It's funny. I was actually in the bubble. I was in quarantine longer than I was out of quarantine. My special little bubble statistic. But look, it's funny when you talk about, look, this gets to kind of everything about Joker, everything about the MVP race, everything about perception. And when you kind of really look in a vacuum, have the Nuggets ever underperformed in the postseason in this iteration with Jokic as the hub of what they do? In 2020, they made NBA history coming back twice from down 3-1, Jazz, Clippers, and were relatively competitive against those Lakers before bowing out in 5. Cool. Next year, Facu Campazzo and Austin Rivers are the starting backcourt, and they beat the Portland Trailblazers in the first round in Game 6 in Portland. I was there. They upset the Trailblazers, and Joker didn't have anybody around him, right? Mm-hmm. So then you get to the second round, and you get smoked by the Suns, the 4-0 Suns. Awesome. Well done.
Suns in 4.
Yeah, Suns in 4. Was that you? I think that was you. Did I see you dress up as him for
Listen,
Halloween?
brother, I wish I could throw some of those uppercuts like that. If I could, I'd get bomb temps in a headlock. I can tell you that.
Yeah, prestigious bomb temps. So, and then this past year, they bow out in 5 to the eventual champion Golden State Warriors. So when you're really parsing it, when has Nikola Jokic ever underperformed in the postseason? And what warrants the disrespect or the idea that they wouldn't pick apart the 12 seed Lakers? Is there some kind of agenda? Is there some kind of, would it be a ratings boost? Of course it would be. I understand that the league gravitates toward LeBron more than it does Nikola Jokic. That's fine. But if you're just looking at raw talent and you're just looking at consistency and, an offensive cohesion and a defense that's gotten significantly better over the past 2 or 3 months. Calvin, we talked to Calvin Booth yesterday, 2 days ago, Nuggets GM. He described the Nuggets starting 5 as the best starting 5 in basketball. And I don't know how you pick that apart. And then when I'm talking about the depth in regards to the Suns, the Nuggets pride themselves in the additions of Bruce Brown. You've got Reggie Jackson and Thomas Bryant, Christian Brown, maybe Jeff Green, your boy DeAndre Jordan, Vlatko.
You're not. First of all, listen. Do not throw DeAndre Jordan out there in a conversation about why you believe the Suns are going to make a deep playoff run. Don't, unless you're talking about, his towel waving technique. Don't do that. Okay,
it's elite.
Okay, that's fine. DeAndre Jordan ain't sniffing the floor for a meaningful playoff second. So don't throw his name. I'm with you on a lot of this. I'm not going to allow that. That is not going to be allowed on this here hit YouTube show, Howdy Partners. Also, I'm gonna throw one challenge flag at you. One challenge flag. You said, or I guess I'm throwing it at Calvin Booth. Or I guess it's basketball. So, time out. Ring the green alarm, baby. The best
shots
starting
for everybody.
There you go. Best starting 5 in basketball. And this one's interesting because this is a potentially interesting first round matchup. Statistically, the Nuggets have the second best starting five in basketball. Do you know the best?
I don't. Is it Memphis? Is it Milwaukee? Boston.
Mm-mm. Potential first round foe, Golden State Warriors. And this is different because look, the Warriors, this is a dynasty core, a team that is, despite the fact they're scrapping to get in the playoffs, probably gonna have to come out of the play-in, is the defending champion. They've had obviously a lot of health issues this year with Steph in particular, also Andrew Wiggins. They're starting five, and I don't have the exact minutes in front of me, but hundreds of minutes, is plus 21 and change as far as a net rating. The Nuggets starting five is plus 16 and change. So, we're talking about two great, but if you're saying the best starting five in basketball, I'm going to throw out the statistical challenge flag and say, hey, the Warriors have earned the benefit of the doubt also because, they did win a championship last year. And again, that could be a potentially fascinating first round matchup for a wide variety of reasons. The clear-cut number one seed in the West against this team that's been a dynasty. Steph versus Jokic, obviously different positions, but two of the greats of this generation. If we're getting back to reasons I do believe in the Nuggets, their depth was the biggest question. They addressed that with Reggie Jackson, with Thomas Bryant, which those two are both in the let's see how they fit. I still think, and this is a question I have for you. How much can their top six guys, because if you throw any combination with Jokic, and whether it's Bruce Brown for Porter or whatever, any combination of their top six guys, those lineups are absolutely elite. How much can those minutes be ramped up during the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking 40 of Joker, you're asking 35, 36, 37 of Jamal Murray, and he's been playing that amount of minutes recently, actually, even though he's been battling a little bit of like right knee inflammation, not the surgically repaired one, but the other one, which is you always get a little bit scared with that because of overcompensation. But he played 41 minutes the other night in the Clippers overtime game. So he has that capacity. I think that they trust Michael Porter Jr. His health is obviously, you can't separate his story with his health without talking about his health. And he's been as healthy as he's been in several years. Obviously, last year he had the third back surgery. And Aaron Gordon and KCP are generally very reliable players. And Bruce Brown, I think, has missed one game all year. So you can trust that their top six will be available and you can ride them. But to the point you made about Golden State potentially being there in that first round series, there's a world where the Nuggets have to run a ridiculous gauntlet. If we're talking, we're no longer talking the 12 seed Lakers, but let's humor. Maybe we were talking the Lakers at one point, and that's scary talent. First round, maybe you have a Golden State series, the potential for a Pelican series. Second round, if the Suns stay in that 4 seed, you could have a crazy semifinals. Second round semifinals against the Suns, and then have to see Memphis in the conference finals. I think that they probably want the Kings to start losing a little bit, and maybe the Suns bump up to that 3 seed. So maybe you could see the Kings. Why you stink eyeing?
But because here's the thing, I think their potential scariest or toughest road would be Warriors as an 8, right? And then Suns or Clippers as a 4, that second round series. And then, probably the Suns would be the team that would bump up. But like if the Suns get to the 3, I think you're looking at potentially Warriors, Clippers, Suns. And man, and I can hear people in Boston saying, oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Sure. Or especially people like in Milwaukee saying, okay, hold on, we're going to have to see, maybe like the Heat and then the Sixers and then the Celtics. So there shouldn't be an easy road out of the West. But to start off with a dynasty in the first round, the Clippers and Suns, the Clippers were the preseason favorites, right, in the West. The Suns now, according to Vegas, are the favorites. That would be an extremely difficult road. One thing that the Nuggets have done consistently this season is they have been the best closing team in the NBA. They are the cojones factor team of the season so far. I'm just going to throw some numbers out. Clutch, their top 5, both offensive and defensive rating in the clutch, including number 1 defensively, 117.1 offense, 94.0 defense, plus 23 net rating in clutch situations. You go to cutting time, which is last 3 minutes, 1 possession game, last 3 minutes within 3 points. Very similar numbers, 115 and change, 97 plus 18.3. They're 18-6 in those games.
Right.
And the thing about you'll talk to some of these KP types, these analytics dorks, and they'll tell you, there's a lot of variance in clutch situations, and essentially.
I like that voice, by the way.
KP loves when I do my nerd voice and pretend that it's him. KP's the swaggiest nerd that I know. Anyways. That clutch performance isn't necessarily a great predictor of playoff success. That overall net rating is a much better predictor. And the thing that I will say about the Nuggets clutch numbers is essentially that's just a continuation of their dominance with those top 6 lineups. And by top 6, I mean, plug in Bruce Brown for any non-Jokic starter. So I think and again, that's where I get back to Reggie Jackson was an upgrade over Bones Highland. He's hit big shots in his career, but I want those top 6 on the floor as much as possible during the playoffs, because I still think there's a pretty significant drop off after that, with all due respect to my favorite Slovenian NBA player, Vlatko Čančar.
Right. And so, I mean, you look at the net ratings, and to your point, it is a continuation. I think they're 3rd or 4th in the NBA with like a plus 4.4 net rating, offensive and defensive combined. If you go back 2 to 3 months, and I did this yesterday, the Nuggets have a top 5 defense in the NBA, like overall. And for about the first month or 2 of the season, they were hovering around 28th. Not great. Mm-hmm. But within that, what changed? Throughout the past 2 or 3 months, they have the number 1 3-point defense in the NBA. Teams are making less than 33% of their 3-point attempts against the Nuggets. That is a testament to KCP, Bruce Brown, and Aaron Gordon and their switchability, their ability to essentially 1 through 4 you switch. Joker's not getting out on the perimeter right. On some of our guys. But yes, the best clutch defense in the NBA. Closing time, you have Jamal, you have Joker, and against the Clippers, you saw them start to incorporate Michael Porter Jr. into that too. He hit 2 giant 3-pointers at end of regulation in overtime, and it's like, I know you want to pinpoint and look at their defense, which has held water, but you flip the script a little bit. I'm not sure, like, this is the predicament that the Nuggets put teams in. You double Joker, you leave KCP, who's a 45% 3-point shooter, open in the corner. You leave Michael Porter Jr., who can kill you in the corner. Aaron Gordon is a bully down low. He's having the best year of his career. So this is what
I thought he should have been an all-star. I thought he had a better all-star case than Jaren Jackson Jr.
I think a lot of people did. And it was interesting. Aaron Gordon kind of was pretty candid with us, and he said that it hurt him. I saw him the night that the reserves were announced, and then I was paying close attention the night when the substitutes were announced. And obviously he was not included on any of those. Just a completely career year all across the board, efficiency-wise, and playing your role. And he said that if he didn't have a big picture approach and say, like, you know what, that's fine, I'm not going to make the All-Star game, I'm going to chill for a few days. If he didn't understand and recognize that the team had a chance to win a championship, he said he would have gone to a dark place, which, is a pretty revealing anecdote when you're kind of admitting where you're at headspace wise. So, but he got over it. Frankly, I don't even know that, like, he had a rib contusion. It's been messed up for a couple of weeks. It's probably a good thing ultimately that he didn't play. But what NBA coaches ultimately did, and this is my opinion, I will say educated opinion, is I think they pissed AG off. They said, all all right, you don't think I'm an all-star? Cool. I'm going to take it out on you the last 20 games of the year. And I mean, if we're just, he's been probably their second most consistent player throughout the entire year. Jamal has
he's been their second best player. Murray got off to, like, understandably, after a year and change off. Murray got off to a slow start and has ramped back up to where recently he looks like pre-injury Jamal Murray. Gordon's been great all year.
Yeah. So, and then you couple that with KCP, who doesn't need the ball in his hands. I mean, when you're talking about addition by subtraction, think about Will Barton and think about the amount of time that he needed to dribble to create anything. KCP, it's like a Klay Thompson situation. You just kick it to him, catch, shoot, and 45% from three on over 4 attempts per game. So, I mean, they just have so
Hold on. I'm going to dial. Don't Klay Thompson, elite role player. This dude ain't scoring 37 points in a quarter.
I mean, the reason I invoke Klay Thompson, and I appreciate you throwing the challenge flag again or ordering shots. The reason I invoke Klay Thompson is because he doesn't hold the ball for a long time. It's like a split second decision and just launch and fire, and he's converting. But fair. BS.
Hey, Calvin Booth, I thought that trade really, and there have been times where they missed Monty Morris, but Monty Morris with Murray coming back was going to be I don't know what his minutes would have been, 20 minutes per game guy, whatever. KCP he's exactly what they needed. He's a very good, if not great, wing defender who, to your point, like, he spaces the floor, knocks down a high percentage, and keeps it moving. Can cut a little bit. Bruce Brown, the question with him is always a three. He shoots it well enough and does a great job kind of just fitting, connecting, guards multiple positions, great cutter. Gordon is a phenomenal cutter. And, like, why is cutting so important? Cutting and spacing? Because you've got not just the best passing big man of all time, one of the best passers, period, of all time. And I mean, Jokic is a 2-time MVP who's having his best season. To be shooting 63% from the floor, averaging a 25-point triple-double, this is nuts.
Tim, 67% on twos, 40% from three. He has double-digit assists, 12 rebounds a game. He kills you in any way that, pick your poison. You want to double him, he's content throwing 15, 16 assists a game and shooting it 8 times. He doesn't care. That's really the secret sauce, is that he is indifferent to how he gets it. And he doesn't care whether he gets it. All he cares is if his team wins. And, I know that everybody, it's almost incessant, the MVP chatter, and I get it. But he makes everybody better. There's a reason you come to Denver and everybody has career years. If you're a free agent, you come to Denver and you have a career year, you get paid. Bruce Brown, gonna get paid this summer because of what he did in Denver alongside Nikola Jokic. When have the Nuggets ever been a target destination in the buyout market? Reggie Jackson saying, I want to go there. I'm going to go from the 6th seed to the 1 seed, and I want to go win in Denver. Granted, he grew up in Colorado Springs, so maybe there's a little caveat there. But, I mean, this is who Joker is. He lifts everybody up. I know JJ Redick went on a rant yesterday on his podcast talking about this exact same thing. And I know he's like 16 times more handsome than I am, and it's fine. But this is the argument that we have been making, that he lifts everybody up and makes everybody better around him. And, oh, by the way, still gets his. Going to be the 3rd player in NBA history to average a triple-double. Only 3 other players in NBA history have ever gone back to back to back. And, I mean, look, I just think a lot of people are going to be mad if he gets this back to back to back. And Joker is going to shrug his shoulders. I talked to him 2 nights ago about the MVP in Memphis. He and I were just BSing back and forth. And he goes, I didn't ask for this. This was, I won this. I was awarded this. I didn't ask to be the MVP. I just happened to come in and cook everybody.
Now, he has not lobbied. And certainly, look, no disrespect to Embiid. Embiid has lobbied hard for it, right? He's had his personal trainer commit his Twitter account essentially to lobbying for it. Joker hadn't lobbied for it. I think the most in a season where there's so many crazy stats, I think the most impressive stat is kind of the perfect Joker stat because it's a blend of individual and team. The fact the Nuggets are 23-0 now when he has a triple-double. Undefeated when he has a triple-double, and there's 23 of them, which is ridiculous in and of itself. Now, I will say this, Singer. I've always said, there's a lot of stat chasing among MVP candidates. And look, I'm not holding it against anybody, but I've seen Tatum do it. I've seen Embiid do it. I've seen Luka do it. I didn't think I'd ever see Joker do it, but boy, oh boy, that game against Dallas before the All-Star break, Mavs pull their starters. My man Vlatko Joker's got 9 assists. Boom, hits Vlatko for a wide open 3 brick. Hits Vlatko for a wide open 3 brick. I forgot who the last pass was to, but it was like a minute and a half left. Okay, there's his 10th assist, grabs the next rebound, timeout. He's out of the game. I never thought I'd see it. But the Joker had a classic NBA stat chasing moment.
Let's hold it against him. I'm down. I'm gonna counter with the silliest stat, and your 23-0 in triple double games is accurate and ridiculous. I think it's actually 26 or 27 in a row, dating back to last year, which is the longest streak in NBA history. Joker has played 54 games this year, and in one of them, he has shot less than 50% from the field. Insane. In one.
Yeah, for a guy who's averaging 25, that is, and like you look at some of these performances, I think he had a triple double, like a monster triple double, or he shot like 90+% from the floor. I mean, you see these games where it's like 35, 14, and 14, and he's like 12 of 14 from the floor. And it's just like, okay, that's Joker.
I'm going to tell you something. Joker does not pay attention to this stuff. He does not pay attention to the media. He cares way more about his horse racing. That's what he watches on his phone. But some level has gotten to him. Some level of criticism or some level of people picking him apart or trying to undermine or not justify what he's doing has gotten to him. He told me, he was like, I don't understand why people are discrediting or why people are undermining or poking holes in what I'm doing or taking shots in my effort. Like, you wanted team success. They're by far the number 1 team in the West. You want to lift everybody up and be most valuable. He does that. You can make fun of, you can discredit his defense all you want, but I don't know how you have the number 1 clutch defense in the NBA and you suck at defense. Like,
I don't understand this stat, but he leads the league in defensive box plus minus.
Yeah, that's.
I'm just saying you can't be a terrible defender and lead the league in that stat. If I was smarter, I might be able to like poke holes or at least explain the stat. All I'm saying is, like, you can't be number 1 by a comfortable margin in that stat and be awful on that end of the floor.
I just like it. I like it when people tell on themselves. I say this all the time. I like it when people do some like gymnastics to try to find a way to undermine what he's doing. And it's fine. Like, I don't really care what direction people go. But just do the due diligence and look at each of the candidates and then try to justify why he's not going to win it again. That's all. And
I agree. And obviously he led the BS poll, the Bontemps straw poll by a comfortable margin. Looks like he will be the 3-time MVP. Bontemps made this point on the Hoop Collective. And I think there is something to this, whether he feels it or not. And maybe pressure is not the right word if Joker's not feeling, but you're saying he is hearing this stuff. His ability to lead the Nuggets on a deep playoff run is going to be a major factor in his perception moving forward, fair or not. And look, Giannis went through the same thing, right? And then Giannis, after those 2 straight MVPs, didn't win the 3rd, but won the Finals MVP that year. Not only led the Bucks on a deep run, but led them to a championship capped with 50, 15, and 5. Dirk wasn't a multiple MVP, but was, and I kind of clinging with those 2 guys to the best European NBA player of all time. And it wasn't until he won a championship in his 12th or 13th season that the soft hero stereotype got shattered, that people finally shut up about this soft hero stereotype. And it's not just a European thing. Those happen to be, two Euro examples, but in a rings culture, when you are at this point, he's one of the most decorated individual players. My point is this: when you reach a certain level of individual recognition, which obviously all those guys I mentioned have, Joker certainly has, there is a pressure to reach the highest stage of team success in the playoffs. That's where Joker is right now.
And like, if you distill everything that he wants, that's all he cares about. He would give up 2-3 MVPs. He would give up 5 All-Star appearances. I think he's averaged about 12 minutes per game in those All-Stars, but beside the point. He would give up all of it, for his team to win a championship. That's all that motivates him, that drives him. And it's super interesting because he's recently started talking about how much harder it is to motivate himself in the off season and to gear up. I mean, that's a big boy, 7 foot, 270, 280. Like I actually don't know exactly what he weighs now, but
not nearly as big as it used to be.
Correct. I mean, people can say whatever they want to say. And I don't know if you saw Giannis on the Daily Show last night clowning on his body, but the dude is in excellent shape for how big he is. I mean, he still lifts after every single game that he plays. So he is, like, the amount of dedication he's put in his body is ridiculous, but he would give up everything for a championship. And now he finally has a chance with the team around him. Guys that are healthy, the supporting cast, guys he can trust, who he knows. I mean, it's got to be almost, I don't know frustrating or just, daunting to go into a playoff run knowing that you don't really have a chance, knowing that your best guns are at home and rehabbing injuries. The Nuggets have been snake bitten the last 2 years with Jamal being out, missing 2 postseasons in a row. They're finally healthy. This is all that matters, is give them a chance. And Calvin Booth, man, he realizes, this is why he's been so aggressive. He realizes this might be their best chance. He knows how fickle these championship windows are. Just look at the last 2 years. He was a part of the front office. This is why he went out and got those guys we mentioned at the trade deadline. And he said 2 days ago at a press conference, he goes, Nuggets ownership was willing to go further into the tax if need be. And Cal said, I didn't see the guy that was worth doing that for. So this is when you talk about an organizational alignment and recognizing a window, we're here. This might be the Nuggets' best chance to win their first championship ever. And, as a steward of the guy who's tasked with kind of guiding that in Calvin, he's not taking this lightly. He's like, we have an all-time player. We have guys that are finally healthy in every facet, in every capacity. We're going for it, whether ESPN likes it or not.
Well, I was going to say, I'm in the minority among my ESPN colleagues, apparently, but I do think that you're going to be working deep into the spring, potentially even into the summer. So, Mike Singer, get your rest. I appreciate you joining me.
Thanks, man. Have a good one.
Adios, amigos.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.